Okay, hello everyone. Let's get started.
对于三宝我很骄傲的，这简直没有这么回事，这人迷信。
He was very arrogant towards the triple jewel. There is no such thing. This is superstition.
同样，他就做个梦，就到这个塔这个里边了。他就对人讲了，说这个塔。
Like this. Then he had a dream that he went inside this stupa. He said,
人人都说他放光，我不相信的。如果我自己看见他放光的话，那么我就相信了。
This stupa, everybody says it's emitting light. I don't believe this. If I see it emitting light myself, then I will believe it.
他说完这话，就看见在这个梦里，他就看见那个塔放出五彩的光来，照遍这个天地。
Once he finished saying this, he saw, in his dream, he saw this stupa emitting 5-colored light, shining across heaven and earth.
这么他醒了，有这个之后，他也相信佛了，也不敢再毁谤那个三宝了。
When he woke up, he also believed in Buddhism. He never dared to slander the triple jewel again.
这是这个康SengHui呀，大料的因啊。
This is the general story about Kang SengHui.
Just a moment. Okay, so now next there's a general who, of course, who is very macho and doesn't believe until he sees something. So he saw the shriras emitting light in his dream, and he believed. Would you believe that the Chinese is so gullible? You dream about something and you believe? Is that right? Huh? Doesn't it sound weird to you that you have a dream and all of a sudden you believe? You change your ways? So, anyway, the fact of the matter is that the shriras, they emit lights. So it's nothing unusual at all for people to see lights emitting from the shriras. Some people see lights, some don't. So whatever the reasons are, if there's a good reason for you to see lights, you will be able to see lights. You don't deserve to see lights, there's no business for you to see lights, then you won't see the lights. That's what's so wonderful about Buddhism. Okay? No one is trying to impress you. Certainly not the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It's whether what they do is to try to benefit you, benefit us, not trying to convert us at all. Okay? There's enough conversion going on in the rest of the world, so we don't need to worry about that. People are being taken good care of. Okay? All right, questions or comments? Okay, it's just like our shriras, they really emit light. If you pay attention, they emit light, very bright. But some people saw it, some people didn't. So that's the way it is. You look at the people themselves. I went up north, and I saw a couple of my disciples. They going through the Chanchi, and I look at them and say, wow, you both are emitting light. And they're working so hard, they emit light. And so even people emit light. Why wouldn't the Buddha's relics emit light? All right, continue, please.
OK， 今天这个讲开凡这一法是诸佛的母体，十方诸佛都是从禅定产生出来的。
Chant, this one Dharma is the maternal substance of all Buddhas. All Buddha of the 10 directions are born from Samadhi.
你如果没有禅定的功夫，是不可以开悟的，是不可以成佛的。
If you don't have Samadhi, you can't become enlightened. You can't become a Buddha.
Stop. So people keep on talking about Buddhism as the three studies. The studies are precepts or morality, and the study, that is the Vinaya, the Sanskrit name for that, Vinaya, and the study of Samadhi, which is concentration, and the study of wisdom, prajna wisdom. So the Venerable Master said, Chan is the mother of the Buddhas. All Buddhas cannot become a Buddhas unless they enter Samadhi. Okay, so let me tell you what's the process behind it. This is why in Mahayana we put so much stress on Chan meditation. Similarly, in Hinayana tradition, their training is also based on meditation themselves. Okay, why is that? It's just share the same common process. If you have Samadhi power, if you enter Samadhi in that state of concentration, okay, something happens internally that will enable you to naturally, without you having to do anything, open your wisdom. That's automatic. So far, so good. So you have to be able to focus your mind. And when your mind enters that type of samadhis, your prajna wisdom will naturally unfold. How? Because of the seeds planted in the past. What seeds? Which seeds? Anyone knows? Yes, pink.
Master, the seeds from listening to the Dharma and seeds from planting blessings?
That's right. Primarily from the seeds of listening to the Dharma in our Saha world. Where we are, in our world called Saha world, you need to plant the seeds for practical wisdom. And that's why the best way to plant seeds was demonstrated by Shakyamuni Buddha. He spoke Dharma for all of us. And then he taught his disciples how to meditate. And that's how they became enlightened. This is so we're doing the same thing that the Buddha did in the past. We speak Dharma for you. We explain the Dharma to you. We teach you how to meditate. Then you naturally become enlightened. Any problems? Same thing in Hinayana. They have to read sutras, recite sutras, explain sutras to their own followers, and then their followers learn how to meditate. And when the followers develop enough samadhi, the Hinayana wisdom will naturally unfold. So the Buddhists have the secret of making this happen. That's not available to you. You're not professionals. We are professionals. We learn how to do this. Patriarchs, in particular in Mahayana, patriarchs. Not all of them, but the top level patriarchs understand this process. And that's why even lower level patriarchs must follow the footsteps of the great patriarchs by teaching Chan and speaking the Dharma. That's what patriarchs are supposed to do. So the implications are, the better the seeds, the higher, the purer the level of wisdom. Not all Dharma spokens are the same. If you were there when the Buddha was around, you listen to the world-honored one's preachings, sermons, your seeds are of the highest quality. Okay? It has been tampered with by transcription, by translation, and all those stuff. But still, it's a top-notch quality. It's very important who speaks the Dharma to you. You go to universities, people, you learn about Buddhology, Buddhism. It's through translations already. It's through transcriptions already. And further, it is altered by the interpretations of the professors who have, well, except for one that I know of, has no samadhi power. You have no samadhi power, your interpretations of the world-honored one's teachings clearly, logically, will fall so far short of the people who have higher level of samadhi. Agree or disagree? Of course you don't understand. Of course I don't understand. That's what we need to have the patriarchs and so forth interpret it for us. Just like when the Buddha's in the world, he spoke the sermons, and of course, a lot of his disciples didn't understand. They turned to people like Mahakashyapa, people like Mahamoggallana, people like Shariputra, and asked questions. You see the similar process now, what happened back then? When the Buddha first appeared in the world, as what's happening right now, the Buddha's sermon is available, albeit altered and translated and tampered with. It's still very, very good. And you, of course, don't understand. We don't understand. That's why we need people to interpret those teachings for us. And if the interpretation, and if the translation and interpretation are better qualities, your samadhi will develop faster, and your wisdom will be a lot deeper. That's the difference, folks. It's not the same. Not everything is the same. Not all teachers are the same. Any questions? It is a shame to me that I see now monks and nuns trying to learn Buddhism, this young generation, this Dharma ending age, by going to universities. It is so wrong. You cannot learn Buddhism from universities, in my humble opinion. That's not where your samadhi will be developed. Remember? You learn the Buddhism, you learn the theory, and then if you have no samadhi, what happens? Nothing. I know when I speak Dharma, I criticize this, criticize that, but someone has to take a beating for you, meaning that I have to go out on a limb and sound like an idiot to you and get criticized and slandered for you, because the truth has to be spoken. It saddens me to see so many bright monks and nuns going to universities to learn Buddhology, learn Buddhism, and then become so proud that they graduate from these prestigious programs. And they have no samadhi whatsoever. That's why in Mahayana, I look at you first, I see what samadhi level you are. Then I listen to your words. Because if your words, the words of wisdom are at a different level in your personal samadhi level, then your words are not yours. You don't know what you're talking about. Buddhism, Mahayana, is not something that you can plagiarize. You can copy. Even to me, there's no need to even copyright Buddhism. What are you doing copying writing Buddhism? Well, except for trying to make money like we do. There's no need to copyright it, because it's not where the wisdom is. But then, without copyright, the publishers would not be willing to publish them, unfortunately. So there's a compromise somewhere. But I'm saying the deeper level Buddhism. I make a deal with you. Let's come to an agreement. The sutras will never be copyrighted. How's that? The Buddha's teachings should never be copyrighted. There's no need. It's supposed to be meant for everyone. It's a gift. And when you spend the time translating, publishing, printing those things, is in order to spread the Buddha's wisdom. That is his wisdom. We're not supposed to commercialize it. I'm dead set against it. give you time for it to digest. And in the future, I'm sure you're going to attack me and criticize me and whatever. And the more you think about it, you have more disagreements. Okay. So far, going back to the theme, the point I'm trying to make is that Samadhi is so central to the propagation of Buddhism. We cannot possibly propagate Buddhism unless we help you develop Samadhi. Agree or disagree? Jewel Mountain has a question.
Jewel Mountain asks, I noticed that in Lotus Sutra, the Buddha speaks Dharma and then his disciples repeat it as verses after him. They repeat almost everything Buddha said. Is there any special reason for it?
Which sutra?
It was the Lotus Sutra.
So the Buddha spoke, and then the Dharma, and then the students, the disciples repeated the verses, or what? I was coughing, I'm sorry. Probably the South Africa variant.
I said when the Buddha speaks the Dharma, his disciples repeat the verses after him.
In a Lotus Sutra? Oh, I don't remember. Some like 10, 15 years ago I read it. Okay, and what is the question?
The question is, they repeat almost everything the Buddha said, so is there any special reason for that?
They call repetitive verses as part of the Tripitaka, the Buddhist canon, if you will. As long as it's in that canon, is considered to be the Buddha's teachings. So, for example, sometimes the Buddha, if you will, lends his wisdom to those bodhisattvas so that they can have the proper, they can repeat the proper verses or say the proper things. It's not uncommon, for example, for me to open my big mouth, every now and then, my teachers will, somehow possess me and make the corrections for me. Okay? So that's what happens in Buddhism quite often. So if it's classified as sutra, then all of that is recognized by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as the Buddha's teachings. So, for example, when we, in our canon, we have the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, which is spoken by a patriarch, not a Buddha, and has always stuck out like a sore thumb. It's the patriarch. How was it classified as a sutra? Okay, and finally, I came to the realization that after discussing the sutra with you, investigating with you, and I'm grateful for that because when I read it years ago, it didn't quite register until recently. And I finally realized that the Sixth Patriarch Sutra was classified as part of the Tripitaka in a sutra store in particular because he really is a Buddha. And because his teaching is so advanced, so much more advanced than any patriarch I've read so far. Okay? So yes, when it's in the sutra, when it's classified as a sutra, then those are considered the Buddha's teachings. So if in not only the Lotus Sutra but the Avatamsaka Sutra, they have bodhisattvas repeating verses, saying repetitive verses. That's with the Buddha's aid. It's not by themselves. Okay? It has to be consistent with the Buddha's intent and the Buddha's teaching. And it's the same level of depth as well. Because just remember back then, when the Buddha was speaking the Avatamsaka Sutra, a lot of bodhisattvas were in attendance, okay? And so the Buddha had to speak the Dharma for all of them, not just low-level people like you, okay? So those are in attendance, and therefore, even the verses uttered by his disciples have to apply to those high-level bodhisattvas. Agree or disagree? Jewel Mountain.
Jewel Mountain asks, why would they repeat it right in front of Buddha? Because Buddha just spoke it.
There, just like a couple of reasons. You see how my master keeps on saying, he took the 5 precepts. He took the 5 precepts. It's for emphasis, okay? Actually, it's probably a reason why he keeps on saying that. It's not stuttering, okay? Stuttering is like one of my ex-disciples who's now who went over to the other side, you know. He stuttered like crazy. That's different. It's a mental disorder. When Master SengHui says, and then he took the 5 precepts. He took the 5 precepts. So he's contemplating. He said, he took the 5 precepts. He took the 5 precepts. He's thinking about, he's looking at what happens after the guy took the 5 precepts. That's one possible interpretation. You see that? And then he explains, he elaborates on that. You like that explanation? It used to bother me so much. You know, I first came to my master's Dharma, didn't understand Chinese, so I had to depend on his disciples, Vietnamese and English disciples, to translate from Chinese to Vietnamese and to English. I read them both, okay? Because they translated different things. Unlike Gu Yin, who only goes to the kitchen, I had to read, okay? So what happened is that, at least in the iterations, the translation into Vietnamese and English at my era, at my time, 25 years ago, okay, they simplified it. So for example, the Vietnamese, they asked me to help translate, okay, because they couldn't understand the Chinese themselves. So they asked me to help them translate into Vietnamese, okay, from English. The Vietnamese translation was made from both Chinese and English. They cross-referenced. So they asked me to help check to help a little bit with the translation of some of the Dharma talks, and so I would look at the English Dharma talks translation and then verify with their Vietnamese translation, and I noticed that both the English and the Vietnamese, they truncated those repetitions. Okay? And not only those repetitions, but they also decided to edit Master SengHui's teachings. For example, the English translation of the 6th Patriarch Sutra has a lot of truncations. The original Chinese translation, later I was able to read Chinese, and I landed on that double thick, those 2 volumes of 6th Patriarch Sutra in Chinese. They basically transcribed from the tape, which is a lot more accurate than the edited version into English. Okay, so that's why the truncations are not a good idea at all when you try to translate. Okay, don't decide, don't edit on your own. You don't have enough wisdom. It shows the level of wisdom of the translators. That is, they decided it's repetitive. No, it's not. He does it for a reason. Just do it. I mean, whatever he said, just repeat, translate the whole thing. Don't try to edit the words or the intentions of the sages. The same thing, the same kind of, to me, unfortunate, greedy kind of mind where you copyright the Buddha's words. To me, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the spy has some comments. Orange. When you touch her, she's going to say something. Her clan.
Thầy nãy thầy kể cái chuyện mà người ta đi tu mà đi lấy bằng gì mà không biết. Thầy tôi cũng thấy mấy người tu cũng đi lấy bằng nhiều lắm mà. Sao mà không giống mấy tổ sư đó, thầy lấy cái bằng của Đức Phật thì nó hay hơn. Rồi cái mấy người tu mà tu rồi đi lấy cái bằng mà thế gian thì tôi thấy mà là chắc không mấy gì được trường tồn. Mô Phật.
Very good. Translate.
You were talking earlier, there are a lot of people, they cultivate and then they go and get a degree and certification. I know the patriarch, they have the degree, but then for a lot of people, they get a degree from the worldly place. It's not a good thing.
She says those people got a degree from a university, whereas we get a degree from the Buddha and from the patriarchs. That's the difference. Very good, precisely. It has to be spoken. Okay? I have a problem that when a professor or educational institution certifies my level of understanding of Buddhism, I feel so insulted. I feel like I'm a traitor to my teacher. Seriously. I am a disciple of my teachers. And someone has to certify me as knowledgeable about Buddhism. Them betraying my teacher. They bestowed upon this knowledge. They bestowed this knowledge upon me, help me develop Samadhi, for me to go out and seek recognition from such people. For what? So that I have more disciples, more support, more recognition? I'd rather stay small and talk to only a few people, speak Dharma to only a few people. And that's typical in the Dharma ending age. Monks and nuns now, I'm sorry, go to universities. I don't have a problem you learn engineering and all those things. But when you learn get a degree on Buddhism, get a PhD in Buddhism, so that you can hang it in your office, so that people will know as you are an expert in Buddhism, I feel sorry for you. I don't want you to say any more words, unless I would sound even more critical. Just think about it, folks. Just think about it, just for a moment. Remember, the premise is that you have no wisdom, meaning you cannot understand the Buddha's words. Wisdom is the understanding of the Buddha's words, the Buddha's teachings. That's why it's called wisdom. And that does not happen unless you have samadhi power. Has always been the case since the Buddha first started teaching Buddhism to our world. That's why Buddhism has the best technology for developing samadhi, bar none. It's a secret that's passed on from generation to generation. It's your responsibility, my children, to understand, to learn how to pass on that technology to your generation as well. But you first have to learn it from me. It's your responsibility. Because once I'm gone, I'm not going to help. It's no longer my problem. It becomes your responsibility. And without samadhi power, forget it. And why on earth, honestly, would you go to a place where they translated all these scriptures, wonderful original teachings from the Buddhas, and they have no samadhi power? And that's why these initial translations I read from at my master's temple, my God, they're off. Because these people have no samadhi power. Yeah, I know. He mad at me already, keep on attacking, slandering me. But this has to be spoken. It's a challenge to you. You have the samadhi power has to be developed, cannot be faked. And without that, you can't do much. You cannot have wisdom. You cannot translate, really. So don't be so full of your translation, so proud of it. You need to have someone who has wisdom certified for you. It's not going to be from your universities. It has to be from a temple. It has to be from a patriarch kind of thing. And you senior monks who have samadhi power, senior nuns who have samadhi power and have wisdom, it's your job to certify those things. And say, this is a certification at my level, and mine is not the Buddha's. Mine is not my master's. But you have to take it seriously. You want to help your people develop samadhi power so that you can certify the translations into your languages, folks. Questions, comments? Green.
Earlier, you talked about the quality of the sea. My question is any different between being here and listening to the Dharma talk versus watching the YouTube? Is there any quality difference between the two?
It's the same quality. But the difference is that when you hear, I speak Dharma for you. I don't speak Dharma for the people who will watch it later. I yell at you. I can't yell at people who will listen to it later. That's the difference. But it's the same. So the Dharma is spoken, the Dharma that's spoken is tailored towards the listeners. So that's why, when the Buddha was speaking Dharma, the great bodhisattvas would come and listen amongst the kings and the officials and the housewives and the slaves and all those things. Yeah. So the Dharma spoken of the Buddha had to cover the full range, from low level to extremely high. I assure you, that's the case. So that's why in Buddhism, the class of participants in the audience, they are called supporters or something like that. Okay? Supporters of Buddhism, meaning that they show up so that the Buddha will address his spoken Dharma to their levels and higher. Because if no one shows up, if a low-level person only those low-level people show up, then clearly you cannot speak very high-level dharmas for them. You need to restrict it to a level where they can understand and not get discouraged. Any other questions? YouTube question.
Zihong asks, if I ask no questions, does Master's Dharma talk still tailored to me?
Zihong? Okay, say it again.
Zihong.
Huh? I know. Give him a chance. Again.
Zihong.
From Zihong to Zihong to... We have to teach him Chinese, at least pinyin a little bit. You can't keep on abusing him like this. Huh? It's signature Chinese, Canadian Chinese. If you don't ask questions, is it tailored to you? I hope so. But do not be afraid to ask questions, because what happens when you ask questions, you are helping clarify it for people at your level, at the same time help you get to the next level. So like recently, I started shouting and screaming at one of my disciples during the lectures. Okay, that's sometimes is designed to help they wake up and move on to the next level. Okay, so questions are very important. Yes, you may not like the answer, but you will get help for yourself personally, okay? And not only yourself, but a lot of people have the same problems. It's common, okay? More commonplace than you think. So don't be afraid. Change your name if you don't want to be known, okay? But feel free to ask questions, okay? Anything else? All right, this is very, very important because so I started by telling you about, samadhi power. Buddhism is the expert at developing samadhi power, as illustrated here, demonstrated here in my late Chinese teacher's statement. He says that samadhi, Chan, is the mother of all Buddhas, because Chan is the Mahayana technology for developing the Buddha's samadhi. No one else knows how to do it except Chan. And Chan historically has been able to do that. So Chan is not just for Buddhas. All those you people don't get discouraged. Chan has to take care of a low level samadhi, meaning 0 level samadhi, all the way to the Buddha's level samadhi. Well, that's what Chan is supposed to do. That technology has to take care of everyone, all levels. All right? And while we're doing that, it is so important for you to listen to the Dharma so that along the way, when you listen to the Dharma, you get help. That at every single level, samadhi level along the way, you unfold a certain level of wisdom. Okay? So the samadhi, as the samadhi level increases, the wisdom level also increases naturally. So what you learned tonight is a couple of things I want you to remember, especially monks and nuns, okay? And lay people as well. I'm sorry, but I'm dead set against this current trend of monks and nuns going to the universities, getting a PhD from a great institution, and going back there. And they're so well supported and so famous. Okay? For example, Thích Nhất Hạnh has a PhD from, I believe, psychology from from Columbia University, one of the top Ivy schools in the East Coast. In New York, okay? Or many young monks after his generations later also went to universities, and I'm told that especially those Vietnamese and Chinese and so forth, and Taiwanese and so forth, they're so famous because they are then considered to be experts in Buddhism because they have a PhD from some kind of great institutions. To me, it's nonsense. If you're a monk and you have a PhD from a university, I'd be so embarrassed to associate myself, even to have put a label like PhD next to my name. I'm serious. Yes, Pink.
Master, what about when we went over the 10 paramitas the other night? The last one is knowledge. So if the monk or nun or layperson gets enlightened first and then they get the degree to give them acceptance in society or to help affect change, I'm assuming this is a different process, and this might actually be
certainly beneficial. Not in Buddhism. That's a worldly knowledge. Buddhism is not worldly knowledge.
Right.
So I would be so embarrassed. I would never put a PhD next to my name if I had it. I would not even put a master's degree next to my name, let alone PhD. Okay? Yes, orange.
Mô Phật bạch thầy.
I would hide it because I'd be so embarrassed. I had to go somewhere to learn because no good temples would teach me real Buddhism. Yes.
Mô Phật bạch thầy, giống ngài Hòa thượng Tiên Hóa vậy đó. Ngài cũng Phật tử rất là nhiều, đệ tử cũng rất là nhiều. Rồi thầy không biết có cung cái bằng cấp cho những người nào không thầy?
Master SengHui has a lot of disciples. Did he give out any certification or degree to anybody?
You asking for it. This is your fault, not mine. Okay? Hey, Master SengHui disciples, don't blame me. She provoked me. Your own kind provoked me. I didn't want to, I stayed away from this. And you have to open your big mouth and provoke me. I disagree with my master. This is where I disagree with him. And I stand firm on this. He encouraged his students to go get a PhD, his monks and nuns to go get a PhD. If you have a PhD before you become a monk, I have no problems. You okay? Okay? You went before and you went, that's okay. Okay? And especially not Buddhology, that's okay. I have no problems with that. But for a monk and nun, to go get a PhD in Buddhism from a university, any type of university, I have a problem with that. It's not a good idea. I'm sorry, I disagree. Let them criticize Buddhism, let them deem us to be superstition, let them deem us to be unfounded technology, unfounded Buddhist principles. We don't care. What do you care about what children say about you? Since when do you care? Since when do we care? People with knowledge about at the elementary level, whatever they say doesn't matter to you, PhD levels. Same thing, these people, they have no wisdom. They don't understand Buddhism. Look at the papers they produce in those universities. It's nonsense. Look at the translation of these great professors of Chan. I cite an example as proof to you, okay? Except for one person that I know of. Look at all the translations of all the other professors. They're so off, they're so wrong about Chan. They're off, period. You follow them, you dead. You never develop Samadhi. Never. If that's the case, you buy into that, then how can they possibly translate the sutras? How can they possibly certify the translation of the sutras? From my perspective, that's why I don't bother reading those papers. I read someone said, you don't know what you're talking about. Remember, before you can understand the Buddhist teaching, you must have a Samadhi level that's high enough. And that's proven right there. I look at those translations, I say, oh my God, you guys don't know what you're doing. And you keep on certifying yourselves. Oh, yeah, okay, YouTube, go ahead, let me have it.
L2D asks, what if somebody wants to become a Tripitaka master? How do they learn this these days?
I want to become what master?
A Tripitaka master.
Tripitaka master is not certified at the universities. It's certified by patriarchs. Okay, so far so good. Let me go back to the point. The point is that I have a problem with my own Chinese master telling his monks and nuns, you want to go to get a PhD? I pay for it. I support you. Okay? If they plan to return to lay life and teach at universities, I have no problems. But if they plan to remain monks and nuns, getting a PhD is totally useless to me. Even if it helps you, your stuff get accepted by academia. Why do I need to be accepted by them? Seriously. I'd be so offended they accepted me. I'd rather they say, he's the devil, he's not Buddhism. That would make me happy. When those people say, oh, he's an expert in Mahayana. And based on what? Based on their papers? Based on their PhD thesis? I say, please stay away from me. I feel much happier if you insult me. Because you're an idiot. Yesterday I insulted a monk. Now I insulted the academia. There goes any kind of attempt to commercialize and monetize out. Okay, no more commercialization. It's a waste of time. It ain't gonna work. You see, I disagree vehemently with my master, encouraging his monks and nuns to go get a PhD. My God, in Buddhism, no problem. You want to go get a PhD in engineering, statistics, I have no problems. If that helps you, you like to say, as a monk, I want to eventually down the road, contribute to architecture in a way that hasn't been done before. I have no problems. I want to contribute to medical research. I have no problems. Go, learn, become a doctor. I will not support you. I don't have that kind of money. But you have my blessings, okay? You can sell your cars, get your mother and your father and get a loan, whatever. I don't care. But I will not stop you. I will encourage you. It's a good thing to do. But for God's sake, do not get a degree in Buddhology, okay? It's a waste of time to me. Or if you ask Master Xianjie, is he there? Philosophy, you agree, Master Xianjie? Would you encourage people to get a degree in philosophy?
Sure.
Safety in numbers. I'm getting someone else to get in trouble as well.
I'm not sure if that... Did you hear me there? Was it open?
Yes, we can hear you. Don't be afraid.
Would not recommend a degree in philosophy.
He's just as radical as I am. Okay, let's be clear. I have a problem, unlike my master. I don't like degrees in Buddhology. I don't care. Again, there's one professor I admire. The other professors, including my master's PhDs, disciples, PhD candidates and holders, You don't understand Buddhism. Do not put a PhD level next to Buddhism, next to your name, and say you're the expert in Buddhism. You're not. Go and make a living. I have no problem with that. You say, I have a degree, I can teach now, I'm qualified to teach at universities. I have no problem with that because that's the world, the way of the world. You need to go out there, you need to get certification. That's no problem. For you to be a professor, that's perfectly okay. But not in our world. You cannot. I don't recognize you as an expert in Buddhology because you're an idiot. You don't understand what you're talking about. Just look at your own sutra explanations and you tell me that you understand the sutras. So that's what I have against. I disagree with my masters. Okay? Again, lay people, you want to go teach, I have no problems. But monks should avoid getting that kind of label. Okay? And because it's damaging to the next generation. Next generation, especially you, so-called Mahayana people, Mahayana monks, and you put a PhD, and say, I spent time getting a PhD from this institution. What you're doing is that the next generation would be encouraged, would feel, would think, it's okay to do that. And that's what's happening right now. The monks and nuns are getting degrees in Buddhology and whatever from great institutions, and now, the Buddhist disciples flock to them, the lecture halls, because they are deemed to be experts in Buddhism. It's bad for Buddhism. They're helping the demons destroy Buddhism. That's number one. Now, finishing them on her fault, okay? Yes, orange.
Mô Phật và thầy nói như vậy đó, thầy không phải là sĩ bán đâu, cái này là thầy nói rất là đúng. Phật Thích Ca đó là một vị thầy để dạy cho chúng sanh để lấy được cái bằng, mà sao không lấy? Giống bây giờ mấy vị tổ đó, thì cũng lấy được cái bằng của Phật Thích Ca hết. Sao mà mình không lấy mà đi lấy ông ở ngoài đời? Cái đó là con nghĩ cái chỗ đó là con rất mắc đó. Con có nghe qua mà con rất là thắc mắc. Bữa nay thầy nói, con mới nói Phật Thích Ca là một vị thầy để đi lại thế giới này để dạy cho chúng sanh để lấy được cái bằng. Mà bây giờ những người vị tổ đó thì lấy được bằng của Phật hết đó. Thì mấy vị tổ đó thì mới ra để giáo hóa là mới nó tồn tại hơn lâu. Rồi mấy người mà lấy cái Phật cái bằng mà ở ngoài đời này đó là xen vô trong Phật giáo đó, thầy thấy không mấy được hay ho gì đâu thầy. Con không dám nói như vậy đó. Mô Phật.
Master, I see that the Buddha come to this world and he taught us and give us the certification, the degree, and then the patriarchs also get their certification from the Buddha. I really don't understand why people have to go to get the degree from worldly place. So I've been wondering about these things, and now you explained to me. I'm very happy.
Second criticism. He also started something called a university when they give out master's degrees so far. Okay? to me, those degrees are worthless.
Cái bằng cấp đó có làm người ta giác ngộ được không thầy?
Question: do those certification make people become enlightened?
You see how vicious this woman is? She keeps on asking me questions so that I get deeper and deeper in trouble. I know you. I know you. I know what you're trying to do. Good Lord.
Là một người mù mà lại điếc mà lại câm nữa mà nói nhiều quá, làm bà tám quá nhiều rồi thầy. Mấy người nghe rồi đó, mấy người hoan hỷ cho cái bà tám này. Chữ cũng không biết, vào mù, vào đuôi, vào điếc đầy đủ hết mà sao nó nói nhiều quá, con cũng không biết nữa thầy.
Master, I am illiterate, I am blind, I am dead. So I just open my mouth and say nonsense. Please forgive me.
I don't think that his university is doing what it's supposed to do yet. So the criticism is on the staffing and of the recruiting of the people there. Down the road, I would send more monks and nuns who have Samadhi, who knows how to develop Samadhi to that institution. Then I would take their degrees more seriously, because what they're doing right now is not that much different from the other institutions, the other University of the West, University of Berkeley, whatever. To me, it's no different, because I looked at the people who graduated from that university my master created. Okay, what do I look at? What do I look at? What? Samadhi. I don't care what you say. I don't care what your degree says. I look at what is your Samadhi level? And if you have a PhD or a master's degree and your Samadhi level is so low, it's worthless to me. It's a waste of your life, waste of your time. I'm radical, I know, but I'm old. I don't have much time left. I can't afford to waste time. Yes, Orange. Don't get me into more trouble. Don't ask any more questions.
Mô Phật và thầy, cái đựng đực nó khó quá đi, thôi đi lấy cái bằng nó dễ hơn thầy.
Master, because
You're not helping.
It's so difficult to get a samadhi, and it's much easier to get a degree.
Con lấy cái định lực khó quá, bây giờ con muốn đi lấy cái bằng chứng sĩ mà không có ai dạy đây nè thầy.
I personally find that it's so difficult for me to get a samadhi power, so I want to get a degree, but nobody willing to teach me yet.
Your level right now is higher than any graduate from that university. You know that? You illiterate person? That's my problem. I don't understand. I'm sure my master thinks a lot longer than that. My horizon, planning horizon, a lot shorter. I look at what they're doing. I said, this is still not good enough. I would not encourage you to go waste your money and your life on that. Okay? And I can't recommend that you do that. But I'm sure in the future, in your generation, the future generations, I'm pretty sure that they will have some good teachers there, and they put the emphasis on developing samadhi power just as much as knowledge, then I would think it's a worthwhile institution that would make it different from the other institutions. If they don't, here's what I think of your degrees and your people. Your teachers. Okay. The Koreans are having a good time. Finally, I just talked to you about samadhi and wisdom, right? You have Mahayana, Chan in particular, just my master said, has the secret technology. It's not available to you. It's not available to lay people. It's not available. It's not transmitted to lay people. From as far as I know, only the monks or nuns will be transmitted this technology, the secret technology that will not be written down anywhere. Okay? To help people develop samadhi power. Meanwhile, we prepare you so that when you reach a high level of samadhi power, you will naturally unfold the corresponding level of wisdom. That's what we do. Okay? That has always been done in the history of Buddhism. That's the other half. The three things, remember? Precepts, samadhi, and wisdom. I want to explain to you. The thing is visible. The precepts, the samadhi, and wisdom, because it's clearly manifest. Okay? When you have samadhi power, you cannot fake it. You cannot fake samadhi power. That's impossible. You can fake spiritual penetration. You can impress people with your low-level spiritual penetrations. Okay? But you cannot fake samadhi power. That's impossible. The other half is you have this precepts thing. Okay? Well, the precepts things, and it's the precepts that will base according to the Buddhist teaching, is the precepts that will generate samadhi. Without precepts, you cannot have samadhi. That's another secret in a Chan school that is not explained even to the Chan people. My master came to this country and used an expedient. He didn't teach precepts. He only taught enough. He only taught a subset of precepts. Okay? And that's why he produced his level enlightened disciples as an expedient. And that's why the level is so narrow. The path is very, very narrow. And the way, the connection between precepts and samadhi is part of our secret. We don't explain it to you. That's why even patriarchs, the so-called patriarchs who don't understand that, the connection between precepts and samadhi, they're called low-level patriarchs. Their work is not in training people. They're doing something else. That Nagarjuna, his job is not to train people. His job is to bring the sutras back to our world. Namely, one of the biggest one is the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's his job. Bring it back to our world. So that the other patriarchs can then help with much higher level wisdom. It's called preparing. They're paving the road for it. So that's my challenge to you. You know, this precept is very important. It's critical in the Samadhi development. So you, precept specialists, who think you understand precepts, you do? How come your Samadhi level is so low? You understand? If your Samadhi level is low, then your precept understanding is also low. Can't fake it either. But that's a Buddhist internal issue. It's not for discussion with you outsiders. But we professionals look at you and say, your Samadhi level is too low. Don't talk to me about precepts, idiots. Yes, Orange.
Mô Phật và Thầy, tại vì mình cũng muốn cái định lực cao mà tại vì cái nghiệp nó nặng quá, nó cứ lôi kéo mình xuống hoài thôi Thầy.
Master, we really want to develop Samadhi, but our karmic is so heavy, that's why it drags us down.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. But you see, that's the blueprint. There's a way to build and propagate Mahayana. It's not beyond precepts, Samadhi, and wisdom. You cannot do that unless you take care of all three. All right? And so far, until Master SengHui brought Mahayana to the West, the Westerners have been doing it wrong. They don't have the blueprint. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. And finally, as a final comment, back then, in the old times, there's something called emperors and kings who were responsible for propagating Buddhism, because these great rulers have the wisdom, have the blessings and wisdom to recognize the value of Buddhism. Practitioners of Buddhism, they don't need to be Buddhists, but those who follow the Buddhist teachings, they find themselves to be happier, be more successful. To be able to make a difference in the lives of the people around them. And that's why I call these rulers great rulers, wise rulers, because you look at the historical records, you see that these rulers who highly value Buddhism, as a result, the countries, the empires prospered for a long, long time. Not only within their own national boundaries, they also, spilled over to other countries as well. That's how wonderful it is. Those kings, those great kings and emperors. And nowadays, it doesn't happen anymore. There's no more king. Those who are there don't have any wisdom. Because the great kings, remember, look at the history of mankind, the great kings. Kang SengHui in China. Or the Tang dynasty in China, those emperors, they sponsored Buddhism. And we are the beneficiaries of such visionaries. Now what do we have in our world, our times? Politicians struggling and striving to get re-elected. Their planning horizons is 4 years to 6 years. That's it. To a lifetime even. Those who are arranging to be lifetime presidents. Okay? One lifetime. Whereas the great emperors and great kings were planning for their children, their great-grandchildren. That's a difference. So what can we do about that? Not much. It's the blessings that you need to generate. If you have the blessings, you encounter the great Dharma. You don't have the blessings, not much we can do. You encounter it, you can't recognize. You probably will slander it, try to backstab it, try to destroy it. Not just the way it is. Okay? And so what can you lay people do? You have to be substitutes for the great kings and the great emperors. What did they do? What did those great kings and emperors do? They built temples. They supported people and sponsored them to become monks and nuns. That's why Buddhism thrived. Folks, no two ways about it. For Buddhism to thrive in this country, you lay people have to step up. For the sake of your family, of your children, for your great-grandchildren and future generations. Stop being so selfish and say, I'm Vietnamese. No, you're not Vietnamese. You are supposed to be a citizen of the world. No, you're not American. You are a representative of something called human being. Act like one. Stop being so selfish. Stop being so myopic. Only think of your own benefits. That's what has to happen. Why is that these successful people in this country, in the West, would go into philanthropy, this foundation, that, to help this, to help that. That's necessary, yes. They're doing good things, yes. How is it helping your future children? How is it helping the future generations? If you have funds to go revive a country and build up a country, shouldn't you also have funds to go and revive Mahayana and strengthen Mahayana? Huh? Where's your visions? I'm asking. I heard of some visionary philanthropist and says, I should not be only focusing on the fate of the Israelis, the Americans, but I should be focused on humanity. How can look at the history of humanity? King Louis XIV, at the peak of his career, he has the best of everything. Well, the rest of his country was starving, so therefore, that cannot survive. That cannot last at all. Same thing. So these great philanthropists who says, we have so much here in the West, we need to invest in building infrastructure to help the East, to help the South, to help the North, whatever. That's great thinking. It's fantastic. I applaud. I say, yeah, you are visionaries. You put the money, endow the arts to advance, to invest in people's liberation, their mind. I love that. But you got to be further than that. There's something more fundamental, something far greater. It's called Mahayana, folks. How about investing in Mahayana? Because we monks are not supposed to worry about money. We do our monks' work. Not have to worry about raising funds, getting re-elected, making mortgage payments. How about that as really visionaries? How about that as truly the highest level of philanthropy? If you do that, I assure you, your offsprings will be so rich, so famous, so happy. Why? Because when you do that, you take inheritance money from your offsprings and give it away, and therefore they will benefit from those acts of giving themselves. Generation after generation after generation, and they themselves will also eventually become enlightened. Yes, you too.
Cordelia asks, I sponsor a Tibetan monk and nun via a different foundation, but how do I sponsor a Mahayana monk or nun? I can't find any foundation for this.
See, that's my point. There's no Mahayana foundation. Don't ask me about Tibetan Buddhism, okay? In private, but not in public. Okay. It's more tricky than you think because the foundation needs to have people with wisdom. It's not like a typical foundation where philanthropy, where you give them those things. You know, it's Mahayana is very different. Hinayana is very different. You know, and the foundation needs to be populated by people with wisdom themselves. To be run by people with wisdom. And I, for example, I don't call Mr. Gates as someone with wisdom. I call him a good guy, but no wisdom. I think, by the way, if my words matter at all, it's not too late for Buffett to change from making money, investing in stocks, and going to do what he taught his disciples. Do some philanthropy, for God's sake. Stop wasting your life, Mr. Buffett. Why don't you start a Mahayana foundation? If you really want to change the world for the better, that's the way to do. You do it. Stop sending idiots to do it for you. I feel better tonight. Thank you so much. Yes, Orange.
Bạch Thầy, ngày xưa con cũng vậy nữa. Con gửi tiền đi cho mấy người Tây Tạng, mấy đứa con nít đi học rồi này kia. Người ta kêu làm cái gì con cũng làm láng hết á. Mà làm thì cũng tốt chứ không phải là không tốt. Cái tới sau này con biết Dạng Phật Thành đó. Thầy con làm ở Dạng Phật Thành. Mình tuy rằng đó mình lấy cái công sức mình làm chứ mình không có tiền của bao nhiêu mà làm nữa. Mà mình làm vậy mình thấy cái lợi lạc rất là nhiều. Rồi mình làm như vậy đó mình thấy con người mình rất là tiến bộ. Cái đó mình thấy rõ ràng đó Thầy. Mô Phật.
Master, in the past, I used to sponsor and help the Tibetan kids to go to school and help anybody asking, and I help. But then later on, I know about CCTV. I usually go there and spend time to help out around because I don't have much money anymore. But I gain a lot of benefit, and I myself develop a lot.
That's why I'm challenging all of you self-proclaimed visionaries of the world. The Warren Buffetts, the Bezos, what's the young guy? The TT guy, electric cars. Second richest man in the world. Elon. Okay? Those people who clearly are visionaries. Okay, I challenge you to, if you truly are visionaries, you really truly want to benefit the world, okay, support Mahayana. Not simply support Mahayana. Talk to the old coot, Mr. Buffett, into running that Mahayana foundation instead of wasting his life, the rest of his life on still making money. What a farce. That's my challenge to you. You want to do something really, really good among the same level as the emperors of the East, the Kang the emperors of the Tang Dynasty, and their work have repercussions for centuries. Okay? Get the old Kut to do the foundation. He can handle it. He doesn't have much time left anyway. It would be to me, it would be the crowning achievement of his career. He doesn't have much time left. I look at his offsprings, no Samadhi power. But he has Samadhi power. That old Kut. Okay, I insulted enough people tonight. It feels good. And that's how you counteract the evil forces in the world. They are precipitating the death and the destruction of our world. Namely, I give you two examples of things that are so destructive. Pandemic has been growing. Only in 1 year's time, it really put a stop to our world. Everyone's running scared. Okay? I assure you, if you have a foundation like run by Mr. Buffett, it would have not. The effects would be greatly mitigated. You saved trillions of dollars in the economy, Mr. Buffett. That's where your contribution is going to be. Not investing in low-life stocks and make, so little money for your efforts. And the other thing that's still being neglected is the pandemic of mental illness. That goes unheeded. Jewel Mountain question.
Jewel Mountain asks, I used to practice meditation at another meditation center before going to Jewel Mountain Temple. After experiencing the emptiness, I am not sure if I should be more strict and work hard to stay in the state of emptiness, or do I need to cultivate further? I am currently going to Jewel Mountain Temple, and all my emotions and thoughts keep arising. It's difficult. Can you please advise?
Just continue along. You haven't experienced anything yet. There's still a lot more wonderful things to experience. So just follow the schedule, follow the instructions, and you see. Just set the mind. It's very simple. You folks are too smart. You folks are too savvy. You're so smart that you are constantly looking for confirmations for you to continue. And that's a good thing to do. However, the confirmation you're looking at, reassurance you're on the right track, can better be obtained by the people in the know, not by yourself. So that's well justified, but if you continue the training program, you find out the current emptiness you're experiencing is nothing yet. You experience far greater level of emptiness. How's that? And you find out for yourself. So this is a good question that is very useful for all of you. Educated people, intellectual people, that's your downfall. You're too smart. You're constantly looking for confirmation, reaffirmations. And it's not necessary. The confirmation, reaffirmations happen naturally. You don't need to look for it. It's just like I keep on hearing people, I sit and nothing happens to me. And therefore I stop because nothing happens. Who told you to stop? You're too smart for your own good. Instead, follow the instructions. Same thing. I'm telling you, my challenge to the movers and shakers, leaders of the world. I challenge you. You set up a Mahayana foundation. Get Mr. Buffett to run it. Okay? You see how beneficial that small amount of money, small amount of efforts will result in for the entire world. Entire world, I'm telling you. Then you'll know you're at the same level as the great personalities of the history of mankind. You look up to people like Franklin, Edison, Lincoln, Gandhi, whoever, okay? Your contribution, Mr. Buffett, will be far greater than them. You know that. So stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your life. Do something more meaningful. Now you're going to die soon. And buy Pepsi stocks. Oh, I'm kidding. Okay, thank you everyone. 감사합니다.